Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Head to Head Sports. I'm your host, Brian Parker, along with my co-host, Mr. Randall Hargrove. How you doing, sir?
What's going on, B?
Man, I can't call it. Another day. So, hey, thanks,
Our
everybody.
Yankees are on the World Series.
Bruh,
There ain't nothing wrong with that.
I'm saying I am so stoked about that. Yeah, I actually would have loved to see a New York, whole New York World Series. I will say, but hey, Dodgers, it's the Dodgers. But, wouldn't mind seeing the Yankees. At least they would have been able to stay in the state of New York. I mean, in New York City. So without cross country and stuff like that. So
I'm excited for a Dodgers Yankees World Series. It's the first one since 1981, I believe.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it is crazy. Matter of fact, it's the first time that the two biggest markets have gotten together in any of the four sports: NHL, NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball. It's the first time since 1981 that New York and LA have got together in a championship game, WNBA included. So that's crazy too, man. But some people think that sports are rigged, right?
Right. Oh my gosh. I mean, they need to stop. Anthony, welcome, man. He says, so I'm thinking you don't want no Washington fans in here tonight. LOL. Why not? Oh, because they thumped on my Panthers. Man, look, we will get to that, but we are not those type of Panther fans.
No.
I don't even know if there's any of those type of Panther fans.
Yeah, there was no surprise there, first of all.
No. I mean, and once one wheel fell off, the other would stay right on after. But we'll definitely get into that. We thank everybody for tuning in. We are streaming live and direct on Instagram. We are on LinkedIn, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook Live, as well as YouTube. Please join us and help us on our drive to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube by searching for Empower TV on YouTube. Click the bell; it'll let you know anytime, give you a notification anytime we go live with new content. But most importantly, like, share, and subscribe. If you're viewing us on any of your other platforms, thank you for tuning in. Please share and let other people know what you're watching as well. Even if you're watching this on a replay, you didn't catch us live, but it popped up in your feed somewhere, please still share. Because in that way, too, people will watch it. They'll know what time it normally airs, which is 7 p.m. every single Wednesday through the NFL season. And we appreciate that as well. We've been on, this is our fifth season. So we've been doing this for quite some time, and we bring it to you every single week. Our observations of the previous week's games, and then look forward into the upcoming week and any news and notes that may have happened throughout that piqued our interest. So definitely some things that piqued my interest. I'm certainly not going to bury the lead, Rand. I sent you a text message on Sunday night, and the gist of the text message was, I will never, and I mean never, in my life, question Mike Tomlin ever again.
Yeah, I got your text, and I initially thought you were talking about by you choosing Pittsburgh to come in last in the North, but then I was like, no, I think he's talking about the quarterback deal.
That is correct.
But either way,
but it could have been both.
Exactly. Either way, I mean, how can you? How can you? I think I responded to you like the national pundits have predicted that Pittsburgh's going to finish last in the North for the past 5 seasons, and all the Steelers do is like make the postseason. So that's the craziest thing in the world. And we're on the track to do that again. And of course, the wheels could fall off. It's the NFL. Injuries can happen, but man, I have to say, Pittsburgh is looking pretty daggone good right now with 2 starting quality quarterbacks. That's one more than the rest of the league seems to have.
Yeah.
And you know how quarterbacks are too in this league, and Pittsburgh is sitting on two of them. One that can get it done with his legs, and the other apparently could get it done with his arms. So
Yeah.
we shall see where this goes. But 5-2, I ain't complaining about it at all.
Anthony says, so does that mean Justin Fields on a new team next year or he gets traded? So there is a trade deadline looming November the 5th, which is also the same day as Election Day. So instead of y'all waiting on November the 5th to see who gets traded, make sure you vote by then. I think that it put up good tape for both, for Russell Wilson in particular. I think when you're looking at a franchise that is built on their defense and really wants to be able to run the ball and be opportunistic in passing, even though they put up 37 points, um, which was almost 20 points more than they needed. you know
Right.
that um, the, having good film on Russell Wilson. So I don't think the Steelers are desperate to get rid of either one of them.
Nope.
However, if somebody now is in desperate need of a quarterback, they may be willing to offer Pittsburgh an offer they can't refuse.
Yeah. And in a team doing that, I'm sure Pittsburgh is going to listen and, pretty much take. I mean, if somebody wants to overvalue either one of these guys, I'm sure Pittsburgh will be ready to move off of them. But at the same deal, there's no rush to do anything right now. They're sitting pretty. They have Wilson on a 1-year deal. He's just with the Steelers for this particular season. That's it. As far as Justin, I'm not sure if they've renegotiated anything with him long term yet or not. I know that 5th-year option was declined by them, so they'd be in um, the negotiation table. They could bring him to the negotiation table, I'm trying to say, rather, to work out a long term deal. But I don't know if they did that this offseason or if they're going to wait until the season's over with. But all that to say that Steelers don't have to do anything right now. They don't have to trade either guy. Um, if I'm the GM, I will decide who plays down the wire or for each particular game this season, and I am still going with Fields for next season because he's the youth movement. He's the one that has the mobility, and you could always find a backup quarterback at a cheaper price than what they're paying Russell Wilson. That will be your in the pocket kind of non-mobile quarterback. So, yeah, I'm hanging on to Fields, man. I like what I saw. Every game he got better and better, and I think with an off season with the offensive coordinator, he'll get even better for next year. So, unless somebody gives me something crazy, I'm hanging on to him.
That's a good point. Now, to just put a pin on what you said, yes, he did have a 4-year contract with the Bears. 5th-year option wasn't picked up by the Steelers, which basically makes him a free agent at the end of this season as well. So you got two quarterbacks that you are not tied to long term, that will become free agents. Now the idea is more than likely as soon as free agency opens, maybe they're going to kind of see who they want to hold on to and who they're going to let go of. At the same time, Fields is only making $1.6 million this year in base salary. He does have a $11 million signing bonus. And the 6th-round pick that Pittsburgh gave up to get Fields to Chicago becomes the 4th if he plays over 51% of the snaps. So they go with Russell the rest of the season, he's not going to hit the 51, and it'll stay a 6th-round pick. If he ends up coming back, being inserted into the lineup, they use him on design quarterback plays and things like that that get him over that 51%, then it just goes from the 6th round to the 4th round. Either way, which is still good for Pittsburgh. They still made out like that.
They made out big time, man. I mean, think they gave up to get Russell Wilson, which was not nothing, hardly anything. I mean, Denver's still paying the majority of that money. Then to give up whatever little they gave up in order to get Fields, I mean, is nothing either. Of course, they're going to decline that 5th-year option on Fields, but most of the time when a 5th-year option gets declined, there has been an understanding between the two parties that they're going to negotiate. So I think that's going to happen.
Correct.
Either way, Steelers are sitting pretty in terms of right now and going into next year. Very financially suave moves that they've made.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Anthony says Pittsburgh should use Fields as Saints use Taysom Hill. One player is happy in Pittsburgh is Pickens. Well, we did have some George Pickens spotting out on the field. He went from being from obscurity to having 5 receptions, which isn't a lot, but he did a lot with those 5 receptions. He had 111 yards and a touchdown. So it did prove that having Pickens on the team is a good thing because there is a receiver there. Russell Wilson took some more chances. There were some things that I did see, and it was just one game. So I'm gonna put it in the context of one game. He could come out the next game and totally stink it up, and everything.
Correct.
And everything that I say right now will not age well at all. But in one game, the main difference that I saw out of Russell Wilson is his willingness and his ability to push the ball down the field, to actually use his legs a little bit. I saw Russell's legs moving a little bit. Even hell, he even got a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, it was ugly, but I mean, he got in there. So I ain't saying it was the Russell Wilson of old, but I saw a guy that wasn't a statue. He wasn't Big Ben in his last years where it was almost painful because he was just standing back there just hoping he didn't get hit. But again, when you have a quarterback, and this happened momentarily in the first game that Andy Dalton started with the Panthers, was when the defense has to respect the pass, it also opens up the run because there was another sighting in the form of Najee Harris.
Yeah.
Who had by far his best game as well. So sometimes just having the right guy behind center improves other positions because they're all dependent on him being successful. So going from having Pickens starting to eat in the air and Freiermuth's one-handed floating catch was just nasty.
Yeah, man.
It was just nasty.
It's crazy. Wilson has always had that ability just to drop in those deep balls like that. But like you were saying, drops them right in there, like an egg in a basket. But like you were saying, you got to have that willingness to even push the ball downfield like that. And that's one thing Fields was not doing. Now, to Fields' credit, he did not want to have the turnover. And I kind of see that. He only had 1 interception the entire time he's been starting. I think he was through one, or did he? I can't remember.
No picks.
No picks. Okay. So Russ didn't have any picks, which is also good. But like I said, he put the ball down the field and he found Pickens in one-on-one situations. By the way, if Pickens is one-on-one, it's looking more and more likely that dude ain't covered. Just throw it up, man. Like, just throw it up.
Right.
With it. I mean, he's one hell of a deep ball specialist for real. So just give him the opportunity. So maybe if Fields gets back in there, he'll see that all I got to do is just trust this guy. But I was very pleased when I'm looking back at the injuries that the Steelers had.
Yeah.
They were on their backup center, and they dominated the ball with the run game. And the protection was also good up against that defense. And that is not a defense to easily run the ball on. So for us to be able to get over 100 yards running was quite impressive. and also 250 yards through the air too, and 2 touchdowns. It was quite impressive against that secondary, which also ain't no joke. So yeah, I was very pleased with that. And again, Steelers still are looking for that second option as a wide receiver. They don't have that still.
Right.
Hopefully by the 5th, they will find that option and be able to finally sign somebody and quit flirting with all these guys like they have been doing for the past few months. Now I'm hearing Cooper Kupp is on the trade deadline. Yeah, Cooper Kupp is on the trade deadline, and Pittsburgh has a package out for him. So we'll see if he gets moved by the 5th, or whether he goes to another team and disappoints the Steeler fans yet again. But I really feel that the Steelers will make a move before the 5th to get a second wide receiver. Pretty much, they just have to, man. They really have to. You talking about opening up the offense? That's going to open up the offense even more so, having that second wide receiver that you must respect on the other side.
I mean, what the hell is going on with the Rams? I mean, they really love Jordan Whittingham and Puka Nacua that much.
They are starting over. Stafford is also on the trade blocks. There's a deal right now, or just talks between them and Minnesota of all teams. So I think the Rams are wanting to start over. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they're only 2-4. They're not completely out of it, which is a little puzzling.
But they're probably, but you know what it is? It's the trade deadline that is probably forcing their hand to say, we're not mathematically out of it, but how many 2-4 teams have gone on to make it to the postseason?
Right.
And
With
they're probably looking at it from that standpoint and saying, oh, and by the way, trade deadline is coming. The most we could get for Kupp, maybe now, if we wait till the end of the season, we have to leverage it off.
And I was thinking about that too. Kupp is a little older. They
Yes.
still got Puka Nacua there. So
he may be a piece you can dangle in front of a team that's saying, hey, we're about to make a push for these playoffs. Be a great addition. Kind of like the same thing, and I'm not jumping off the Jets and Steelers yet, but kind of like the same way I feel about Cleveland. Cleveland should be a damn fire sale right now.
Should be a fire sale. Absolutely.
If Jerry Jones don't go get Myles Garrett, he is a stone cold sucker.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't, Buffalo or San Francisco will get Myles Garrett. Mark my word.
Yeah, like the Browns, they're going nowhere. They're going nowhere. So that move would be very smart for them. Just to get rid of anybody they can for any kind of picks they could pick up in the future. The Rams,
call it like a yard sale to help pay for Deshaun Watson's salary.
Yeah. The Rams, on the other hand, I think it's because they're older, man. You look at the age of Stafford. I think they've got all the juice they could squeeze out of that.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Cooper Kupp is a little older too. I think he's beyond 30. I'm pretty sure he's beyond 30, which is up there for a wide receiver. So they've got all the juice they could squeeze out of that lemon too. So might as well move on and get something for these guys rather than try to make a push with older guys next year in a young NFL.
I agree. Kyren Williams is definitely going to be the back there and everything else, but everybody else is probably up for consideration when it comes to trade because they just need to get from under those old salaries and old players, period. A lot of these salaries, they've backed those contracts up so much that there's a lot of money on the back end and stuff like that. So that would make sense. Rand, one question I'll ask about the Jets and Steelers, because before this game was played, I thought with the addition of Davante Adams to the Jets, that this would indeed be a peaceful puzzle that would fare well for Aaron Rodgers having Garrett Wilson on one side, Davante Adams on the other side, with the defense that they had, with Brees Hall and Braylon in the backfield, I was like, okay, that's a pretty nice unit on paper. And the fact that all of a sudden Devontae's hamstring sort of just healed.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh God, poor Steelers." And they don't know who their quarterback is going to be, and the Jets really need this one and everything else. It was a foregone conclusion. The Jets were just going to handle the poor little Steelers and send them on their way.
Yep.
Um, and when you saw, okay, Devontae getting into the mix early, it kind of looked like it might turn into that. But all of a sudden, so here's the question. Aaron Rodgers comes in with another doo-doo game. He does throw over 250 yards. He does throw a touchdown, but he also throws another 2 interceptions. The one thing that made Aaron Rodgers for so long was his high touchdown to turnover ratio, where he would throw less than 10 interceptions in any season. He has gone into double digits twice in his career, if I'm not mistaken. But he is known for king of ball security, and he's on pace to go into the double digits for the first time in a while. So here's the question: is he done? Um, you know, sometimes what happens with these older quarterbacks is the last year or two of them playing, they get old real quick. Have we seen pretty much the last of Aaron Rodgers? Will Woody, the owner, Johnson, even want him to come back next year and try to run it back? Because in my opinion, this year was Super Bowl or bust, and it looked like a whole lot of bust.
I tell you what, man, it kind of reminded me as we was getting off the show last week. We both were in the agreement. This is going to be ugly for the Steelers, man.
Yeah.
Um, Two wide receivers, a very young secondary for the Steelers, trying to cover all that talent. I did not think it was going to work out for them. I was hugely surprised at how well they handled both receivers.
They did.
Um, uh, Adams, 3 catches for the night. I think he had 30 yards. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, that was it. And then we
Mhm.
were not hurt by on the other side either by Garrett Wilson at all. So I was very happy with what our secondary did. Now, get to your question, is Aaron Rodgers done? Um, I won't say he's completely done. I'm going to wait and see if the Jets could perhaps turn this season around. They got some easy games coming up. But in terms of the future and next year, I don't think he's done. I think he's very close to it, though. I think he's very close to being done. If you look at the way that Rodgers used to play this game, he was just this spitfire boss on the. He would command the whole field, tell his wide receivers, where to go. Fiery leader, right? We don't see that out of him now. We see him looking really confused.
Right. Right.
Like, what is going on? Like, he has these blank stares.
Rodgers?
Yeah.
People.
I don't mean to get all political on this show, but he's got a lot of biting going on with him right now.
Yeah. Hey, what happened? What happened?
Yeah, what happened? What's going on? So I don't know.
I think he's done from the fact of he'll never be a backup.
No.
He always wants the ball in his hand. And the problem with Aaron Rodgers is that I think he will have good games where he'll still show you flashes of Aaron Rodgers, but he won't be able to give you complete games from start to finish. That
Exactly.
he's able to give you a string of games. So
Yeah.
you'll see a lot of inconsistent play where one game he'll look like he's at his best. One game he may pass for another 350 yards in a game this season, and he'll follow it up with 140 yards in a game.
Yeah, that domination from week to week is gone, man.
That part is gone, and that's the thing that made him who he was. And nobody can take that away from him. I mean, his legacy has been written in the books, and no matter how bad he plays, it's kind of like when we watch Big Ben at the end. It was like, okay, this is somewhat unwatchable and painful. But the book has already been written, the die had already been cast. But still, you could tell that, yes, while he could still reach in and dig in deep sometimes and give you those performances, they're not going to be consistent enough for a team with Super Bowl aspirations.
No.
You're going to need somebody that is going to be steady and be able to methodically. I have more confidence in Sam Darnold right now than Aaron Rodgers.
Sam Darnold is looking better.
And I don't know if somebody had told me 5 years ago that I would say that, because I would have probably said to them, if I do say that, slap the living hell out of me.
I would have said it August.
Yeah, me too.
Forget 5 years ago. I would have said
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We didn't go back that far. Yeah, if we would have said that, if I would have said that in the off season, I would have said, hey, obviously I fell on hard times and I turned to crack. He slapped the hell out of me and get me some help. But now when you just look at it, you fast forward 2 months, you go, oh my God, I have more faith in Sam Darnold than I do in Aaron Rodgers. That's just crazy, but it's not totally surprising because I've just seen good quarterbacks in their last year, the last 2 years. They age real fast, almost overnight. You look at them and go, "Damn, what happened, bro?"
Just like running backs, man. They just
Yeah.
fall off a map. They're dominant one week, and then the very next week is like, what's going on here? Ezekiel Elliott is a prime example for that one.
Todd Gurley was a big Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley, yeah, another one. Prime example.
Melvin
Gordon, they all have their day where they're just dominant,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden they can't run anymore.
Your
it's
boy,
beginning like that too.
From Pittsburgh, they held out for all that money.
Who was that?
Your boy from Pittsburgh held out for all that money.
Oh yeah, Le'Veon.
Yeah,
Mister, I'm gonna sign my own deal, Bill.
One minute, Le'Veon's on the top of the world as a running back. He sits out all that time, comes back, Dookie. I mean,
crap. Never got it back. Never got it back.
He just gone. So yeah. So when you see these guys like McCaffrey and hell, Joe Mixon doing this thing with the Texans and stuff like that, you're like, man, that is definitely the exception and not the norm, based on what we see in a lot of these positions where, once they get to a certain age and things like that, Father Time is undefeated and they just start losing it. They don't ever get it back. You see the regeneration of Saquon Barkley and those types of things, but that just doesn't happen for a lot of guys. You hear about these guys, they do well for a while, and then all of a sudden they fizz out. So Anthony says Brown's going to trade a big piece on defense. Brown's going to trade a big piece on defense. I don't know why. Because they suck. And it's a waste. And because if you were to say what side of the ball does Cleveland have more leverage on when it comes to trades, obviously it's the defense because ain't nothing on the offense looking good. And a lot of that is probably due to the quarterback play. But that is what it is. So your best opportunities for getting some kind of return is going to come from the defensive side of the ball. Plus, why waste the defense when the offense isn't going to play complementary football anyway, and your season is already done? Mathematically, is it done? No. But you can look at the Cleveland Browns, which I don't know why you can't find anything else to do on a Sunday, other than watching that. They're not going anywhere, Anthony. So that's why I also said that the Chiefs wanted cut, but Rams asking price was too high. The Chiefs went after Hopkins cheaper, and probably got the same thing. To be honest, and Anthony also said Jets didn't lose because of Rodgers. It was Garrett Wilson. Dude was dropping passes. That part is true. He did throw 2 picks though. But
exactly.
Garrett Wilson didn't help either. But when you look at a lot of, and you could say even the game before that, Rodgers played okay enough for them to have a chance to win, but the kicker missed 2 field goals. You can say
Yeah,
that too.
yeah, I could say that. I'm not going to blame one player when the score differential is 22 points.
Right,
I
right,
just
right,
can't
right,
do
right,
it.
right, right.
I can understand if it was a touchdown, but
I
yeah,
will I will say there was some momentum going the Jets' way when Garrett missed that pass.
yeah,
I'm sorry, he dropped the pass.
yeah.
There was some momentum. But again, some of this stuff just looks like chemistry. Some of the stuff just looks like receiver and Aaron Rodgers are on the same page. Brees Hall is a running back. Brees Hall had 6 targets for 103 yards as the running back. He only ran for 38, which again, the Jets are a mystery to me. Your team is built on the damn run. You got Brees Hall and Braylon Allen back there, and you refuse to run the ball. When you do run the ball, you have some level of success with it. But for whatever reason, they just stop.
I could tell you the reason. Who's going to tell Rodgers what to do? He set it up there. He set it up for the rest of the season now that no one's going to tell this guy what to do.
Yeah, he had 39 throws.
Exactly.
But Brees Hall had 12 carries. Braylon had 2 carries, and everything else was in the air.
What coach on that Jet sideline is going to go to Aaron and be like, you might want to dial it back a little bit and start handing it off some. Even if they're brave enough to call a run-heavy game, I don't see Rodgers even sticking to it.
I don't either. Oh, it's going to be an audible all the time. He going to audible out of it. Hell, they may give him the play in the headset. He go in the huddle. He said, they probably said, okay, we're going to run power. And Aaron said, hey, he want me to do a fly route. Y'all good with that? He probably, what he telling them in the huddle probably ain't even what came through the ear set. He like, he probably like the picture in the game when you're looking at the catcher and going,
right. And then in the team meetings after the game, he's gonna be like, that dude that kept running power or kept calling power, we need to get him up out of here.
Oh my gosh, you're probably right. I'm sure there's a veto button that he has, so it doesn't matter what gets called through the headset. He goes in the huddle and he's like, I've analyzed the defense. I already know what the play gonna be. So hey, that's what happens when you get a personality like that. You get all the other baggage that comes with it. I will just remind New York Jet fans of this one glowing fact. Green Bay did not put up a fight when he wanted to leave.
They sure did not. Sure did not. Sure did not.
There might be a reason for that. So just
might be a reason for it.
Y'all keep that in mind. He didn't leave kicking and screaming. So y'all keep that in mind. There's got to be a reason for that. But definitely didn't want to bury the lead. Congratulations to the Steelers. Russell, after the game, would not commit to saying "let's ride," so we'll have to find out what he's gonna say. I was waiting for it at the end when they interviewed him, and she was like, "You're not gonna say it?" He's like, "Nah." We were like, "Okay."
Yeah. My question is, who gets the Giants game? I mean, who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's. In my opinion, Russell didn't do anything to lose anything from it. I would start with Wilson first. If you get to a point where you start blowing out the Giants, which is highly likely, it's a home game. I don't see any harm in bringing in Fields, but I also don't see any harm in some of those designed plays for Fields.
Yeah.
Or RPO stuff. Open it up a little bit to keep the Giants defense, because you got Brian Burns and some other guys on the other side of that ball. It'd be a good opportunity to be able to freeze them out a little bit. on certain plays where they don't know if Fields is keeping the ball or if he's handing it off to Najee, or if he's setting up Fryermuth or Washington or Pickens. So there is some of that element that they can put in it. 2 straight weeks of good film for Russell Wilson only increases trade value. Everybody already has seen what Justin can do as a starter. But if Russell Wilson starts again and gives them 2 back-to-back weeks of good film, even if it's against an inferior Giants team, again, I think that's just going to increase the trade value more and more and more. And if you can still get the same results without Fields having any opportunity to get into that 51%, there's not much difference between the 6th and the 4th round, but it still could be a pick that you could bundle with something else down the road. And if you bundling it more as a 6th than as a 4th, then maybe there's some small little benefit. Um,
Yeah.
it's the thing about the NFL season in season is really more about chess than checkers. You really just planning out not the next move, but the move after the next move.
Absolutely, no doubt.
So I kind of think that right now, they're playing with house money. Cincinnati looks like a cluster. Cleveland looks like Dookie, and yes, the Ravens are having their moment right now. But if the Ravens slip, then you've got a great opportunity. You're tied for first right now with them. So you're kind of playing with house money. Nobody
All the way
expected
around.
you to be in first place going into the 8th week of the season.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're playing with house money. You basically can write your own check right now. So, let's ride.
Yeah.
See what Russ does. If he struggles early, you got Justin. I don't know how much, and this is a good confidence builder, hopefully, for Russ being able to play the Giants, a team that has shown an aptitude to score, even if it just stays a low scoring game. Now you're getting Russ more snaps, more film, and everything else. Everybody already knows what Justin is and what Justin does. As last seen, he wasn't terrible. He just looked like he was a little apprehensive about pushing the ball because he knew that the story and the knock on him was he couldn't protect the ball in Chicago.
Uh-huh.
For all of the potential and talent that people saw, biggest knock on him was ball protection. So I believe that was stuck in his mind too much that, oh my God, I don't want to take any risks. I don't want to throw any unnecessary interceptions and things like that, because then it's just going to add to the whole story written about me is that I can't protect the football. He rewrote that story, but in rewriting that story, he gave up some of his killer instinct, which is to push the ball down the field.
Yeah. And you got to keep in mind as well, this is a guy that's playing for a long-term deal. So
Correct. Whether
yeah.
it's with the Steelers or with somebody else. So he's
Exactly.
trying to make sure that his tape looked just as good too, because he got a lot more years to play than Russell Wilson does.
Yeah.
So he
Cooper Kupp, hit the hell out of LA. Come on to Pittsburgh. You're in almost last place in the West. You have no shot. Come on to Pittsburgh. Let's ride this thing, as Russ would say.
that would be amazing. it would. It would. That would definitely be amazing. Found his way all the way over to Pittsburgh. Be different for him. LA is a little bit different than Pittsburgh, I must say.
Definitely.
I could see it working for him. I could see him in that uniform.
I could too, all day long. We'll work on the field for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I brought up the Ravens in talking. I will say this, but I always say this about the regular season Ravens. These games where they come out and just dominate. And yes, the Bucks made it interesting at the end. They scored 21 points in the 4th quarter. This game was way, way worse than this at one point, where they only had 10 points through the first 3 quarters. They were dead. At the end of the 3rd quarter, it was already 34-10. So the Ravens really didn't have to do that much. They got an onside kick. all kinds of crazy stuff that at the end made it look a lot better than it was. Baker Mayfield ended up throwing for 370 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he had two just crazy picks. They lost Mike Evans early, Chris Godwin at the end. But Lamar Jackson just looked very poised, 17 of 22, 281, and more importantly, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yeah. He looks great during the regular season, and for whatever the reason, he just cannot turn that on in the postseason.
Is this going to be the year that he does now that he has that big, strong man that had 15 carries and 169 yards on the ground?
God damn, man. That's like college numbers.
He ripped off an 81-yard run.
Jesus, man.
I saw it, and I'm like, he keeps doing that in every game where he'll get that little seam on the side, and he gone.
It looks like a replay.
It takes all they got to track him down, but by then he can flip a field. Oh my God!
Yeah,
he'll get 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, 8 yards, 6 yards, 3 yards, bam, 80 yards. What?
Right. Yep, week after week, man. It's like a replay of the same thing over and over with
every week. It's the same thing.
Yep. But I will say if this is not the year that Lamar can make a postseason run, then I don't know what year is gonna be for him, man. Because I just don't know what other improvements can be made. The Ravens have a good defense. They got a good pass defense. They've always been stout against the run. Now they're dynamic in their offensive game. They have not one tight end. They have two tight ends that are capable of starting for any teams out there.
And then Andrews show back up.
Man.
Henry caught a touchdown pass. I mean, everybody was getting touchdown pass. Hey, Rand, check this out. Derrick Henry has 873 rushing yards, just rushing yards. The next person closest to him is Jordan Mason at 667. Derrick Henry has rushed for 8 touchdowns. He has ran 20. He has ran 10 times for 20 plus rushing yards, off one carry.
Yeah, 20 explosive plays. Yeah.
Yeah. For 40 or longer, he has 3. His longest is 87.
So I will go back to what I was saying a couple of weeks ago when I accused Anthony of one thing, but Anthony said it was not him. Somebody on this show asked me before the season started, why was I so afraid of the combination of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry?
There you go.
Now you are seeing why I was so afraid of that combination. You're seeing it. You're seeing it.
It is good, though, for me to see that the number 5 back in the league right now, as far as rushing yards, is one Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba, yeah.
The only 4 in front of him is Josh Jacobs by 3 yards, Saquon, Jordan Mason, and one Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
That's some pretty good company.
Yeah, I guess we could go ahead and get into these Carolina Panthers, but I don't see us staying here too long. But
no.
It was majorly disappointing to see.
By the way, the number 11 running back currently in the league, Lamar Jackson.
Oh wow, yeah.
So your top 11 running backs in the league, you got Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson accounting for 1,300 rushing yards in the first 8 games of the season.
And again, whoever it was to ask me that question, I wish you would ask that question to me again now.
There's your answer.
There's your answer, man.
I just had to look at because that's just freaking crazy, man. I mean, golly, that's just nuts. But definitely, so yeah, we can look quickly at the one Carolina Panthers. You know, there was just so much promise when Andy Dalton took over for Bryce Young. He did kind of come in and was able to do some things that even though Andy now has kind of settled in and started throwing picks, there's still some things that I've seen this team be able to do that I just don't believe that a Bryce Young led team would be able to do.
No, no.
He didn't throw over 100 yards. I think they went to Bryce at some point in the game. I stopped watching it early on because I already saw it was just going to be absolutely crazy. It wasn't going to be that kind of game. A couple of things happened in the game. Jaden Daniels got hurt early with a rib injury. So then Marcus Mariota. Now, if Marcus Mariota come in and throw 2 touchdowns and 205 yards, you're going to lose that game because, but that's what was happening. There was a lot of ball control, keeping the ball on the ground. They did have some explosive plays, and Carolina just had no answer for anything that Washington was doing. They got it done early. It was already 10-0 at the end of the first quarter. It was already 27-0 at halftime. Hell, it was 37-0 through 3 quarters. So it was already obvious that there was no reason to watch that game unless you are a masochist and you like pain.
Yeah. So to touch on one of the points you made, yes, Bryce Young came up in there, but you know how many yards he ended up throwing for? That would be -4 yards. So just moving, just moving on from him, man. And it's a shame.
But he
I
was
don't know if
he was 2 for 2.
I don't even know how that. Well, I do know how that happens. He's throwing screen passes at you.
Anthony, we're not gonna sit here and act like we had any crazy visions of grandeur, high expectations of our Panthers. Again, only thing we wanted to see is some competent, competitive football. This game fell hilariously short of that, but my stance is if Bryce Young had played the entirety of this game, it could
Oh
have
my
been
God.
worse than this.
And people are going to find that out because the bad news for Andy Dalton is he was involved in a car accident yesterday over off of Stardust Road, I believe, or Providence, somewhere in that area.
No Stardust.
Yeah. So he banged up his non-throwing hand. I think he sprained his left thumb. He will be out this next coming game. In will come one Bryce Young once again. So for those that didn't think Bryce would take the field again this year, sad to say he will be out there again this Sunday against Denver, in which I predict he will promptly throw for at least 3 picks and -200, not -200, but sub 200 yards. So I have no confidence in this guy.
I got a whole nother conspiracy and take on this. Number one, Bryce paid that person to hit Andy. Because I mean, Andy had his wife, his kids, and the damn family dog in the car.
Yeah.
Bryce, you cold-blooded. I'm just gonna say, my guy put his wife, kids, and the dog in harm's way.
Right.
But he paid somebody to do that. I guarantee you, when you look at that other person's medical bills, you're gonna see that Bryce Young is writing the checks. I know that's what happened because he said the only way that I'm getting back on the field is if I take care of this little red rocket. He said this man threw for 94 yards in this last game, and they still gonna start him. Hell,
yo, somebody hit him on his side, but not too hard.
Do it. Yeah. Because he said do it like I would do it, but not that hard because I can't. I'm too little. Yeah. So that's probably what happened. The second thing I think is going to happen is I think he's gonna ball out. I think because he's going against the Broncos. Well, we'll see because that defense is actually pretty damn good.
It's very damn good.
So maybe I might have to change that. But somehow in my conspiracy theory mind, which I don't really have too much of one, is that he's gonna end up shining for a game, and then you're gonna have quote unquote a quarterback controversy, or because people go, everybody goes by the last thing that they saw, and they won't look at a whole body of work, even though we've given Bryce a full season and 2 games into this season to show us that he's that dude. And he obviously isn't. What would it be if somehow he turned back the hands of time, act like he in Alabama for once, and starts just manning all over the place, they win the game, and then they go, Andy, your thumb still look like it's a little swollen and sore. So just go ahead and sit out this weekend. We'll ride with Bryce this week. I just got a feeling that if it wasn't against the Broncos, that scenario could play out. But I'm a little concerned that Broncos defense. Listen, if I'm the Panthers, whoever is your third string emergency quarterback, they need to start warming up right now.
Get them ready. Get them ready. Don't get them ready.
Because once he gets hit and they start lighting him up like they in Vegas, you're gonna need that dude to come on out there and finish that game because it could go either way. Either Bryce is gonna rock out like I'm saying and cause some kind of stupid ass quarterback controversy, or he gonna look even worse, and we're gonna need that dude because somebody gonna hit him and he ain't gonna get up on his own.
And I am going with the latter on that one.
And Jermaine says, as Rand had misspoke about the negative 200 yards, he says, I'll take the over on the negative 200 yards.
Okay, Jermaine, so check it out. While we're doing over-under conversation, I'm going to tell you and everybody out there listening right now, I don't know what the over-under is for this game. Take the under. I'm telling you, take the under.
Let's see.
You're going to win some money.
Good question. I'm going to look at the line and see because I am curious as what the line is on this game. But yeah, anyway, let's see, lines for upcoming. I love this NFL.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm handling that part of it.
Sports line.
Yeah. While you handling that part of it, I will let y'all know I don't care what the over-unders are for this game. Take all of the unders. Bryce Young under 200 passing yards. Take it. Panthers under 20 points. Take it. Chuba Hubbard under 100 yards rushing. Take it. I have this game being ugly, man. Denver winning, of course, but this is not the defense for Bryce to be coming in and trying to win it.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like the over under on that game right now we've got Denver getting 10 points on the game. That's what currently is. So yeah. And normally you get 3 for being at home. So they're only pushing another 7 points. I thought it was gonna be a little bit worse than that. And it's probably because Bo Nix has been up and down, but he did have one hell of a game against New Orleans.
Yeah.
I'll give it to him.
And you're looking at a Panther defense that's just riddled with injuries right now. They can't stop anybody, man.
No, it was just the run, but the pass, they can't even stop that. I mean, they know not to throw towards J.C. Horn, but you have a whole nother side and middle of the field to throw to without JC being involved at all. So you can still pick apart their defense that way too. So there's a lot of points to be had. If the Broncos only win by 10, they left some points out on the field.
Yeah, for real, man. Because of injury, that defense, especially that front seven, is probably as bad in football as any other front seven in the whole NFL. It's just that terrible.
Yeah. Hey, Anthony said, well, first Jermaine said, I wish Bryce would ball out. It would be great for the team. However, he's not. He still hasn't grown an inch. I don't think so. I don't think he's grown at all. And Anthony said spread is 9.5 and the over under is 41.5 points.
41.5. Wow. I'm betting 100 on the under right now.
Yeah, me too.
No joke. I'm throwing 100 on the under.
The only way they're gonna get 41.5 is if the game is 34-7.
Yeah.
Well, that's 41. So 35-7. Could I see Denver getting 35 points in this game? Yeah. It depends. Do I get good Bo Nix or do I get not good Bo Nix good enough to win the game where they end up kicking a bunch of field goals? Like he's good until he gets into the red zone. Oh, okay, there we go. I was about to lose myself. My internet signal is for some reason getting weak. I don't know if you can hear me. You hear
Yeah,
me?
got you.
Okay. So yeah, it looks like it's starting to get stronger again. Okay. So yeah, I don't know which Bo Nix is he going to be able to finish plays in the end zone, or are they going to turn into field goals? Anthony, the 9.5 is, I see that's where FanDuel is, and they opened at 9.5 and they're still at 9.5. But I'm looking at the consensus right now between FanDuel, MGM, Sports Hub, Caesars, DraftKings, and all of them. And right now they've got the money on 10. Either way, though, that's still pretty high. But good looking out. I can see Anthony is also ready when it comes to laying some bets out. So Anthony, we might have to have a little betting session on this show too, so we can go with the wins. I did hit pretty nice on DraftKings the other night, I must say. And it was
I saw that. I saw that. Appreciate that text
it was
message,
because of the Steelers game, so I do appreciate that a lot, Steelers.
Yeah.
So,
Congratulations on that one.
yes, sir. I'm gonna put some more money out there. But yeah, if I see that 41 Rand, I'm with you. I'm going to probably lay a good 50 piece on the under and throw a 20 piece on the over.
Mm-hmm.
And see what happens.
With you.
Yeah, I might do that. Because I got more faith that they won't do it than they will. Because I think the Broncos will do most of their part. I just have no faith that the Panthers, because again, at least with Andy Dalton, to me, there was more of a probability of a touchdown or two.
Exactly. Yeah. With Dalton out there, I'll be scared to take the under. But
if you ask me if the Panthers will be able to score 10 points, right now I would take the under in that game.
Yeah.
They're playing in Denver. It's the Mile High City, which I don't know what that does for Bryce Young and his ability to throw in that high altitude. And then that defense that's just going to be ready to just light him up and just take shots at him when they can. So that'll be interesting to see. But that's pretty much with the Panthers. I mean, they look bad. The Commanders look like a very, very strong team in the NFC East. If they continue to ascend and Dallas continues to meander and do what they do, and they don't do anything before this trade deadline. What's with the signal? Okay, I can easily see the Commanders really, really fighting for first place in the NFC East. If Philly stumbles just a little bit, those two are going to be fighting for first place, and they're really going to have to play hard now, because with the emergence of the NFC North, that could potentially take 3 teams into the playoffs. That could really, really make it where if you don't win your division, regardless of where your record is, you might not make it to the playoffs in the NFC.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And, just once again, I know I keep on touching on this from week to week too, but at the very beginning of the season, I think we both agreed that the Commanders were going to push Dallas this year. Yep. And they have not only pushed Dallas, they've overtaken. I think they've got them about 2 games right now. So Dallas's next 5 to 6 games are going to be tough ones. We're going to see where they go. Mm-hmm. And I know that Daniels has the rib injuries for the Commanders. But hell, I mean, Mariota didn't look too bad against I know it was the Panthers, but he didn't look too bad in mop-up duty. And hopefully they'll be able to get Daniels back out there soon, because it's not going to be anything where he requires weeks out of the lineup. So I think the Commanders are going to be steadily winning games, while Dallas is probably steadily struggling.
I think it's going to come down to some of the same issues that Mike Vick went with through his career, where they're going to put a flap jacket on him. They're probably going to give him a shot before the game, and then really it's going to come down to pain tolerance. What can he deal with while he's on the field? Because at a certain point, you can't make it any worse. It's just going to be, when you throw that ball, are you going to win? Are you going to be able to get the full sport out of it because of the rib injury? Jermaine brought up a good point about the Panthers. He also said no one is going to play hard for Bryce. I do believe that.
I agree with that.
Ryan, yes, whatever's going on with my service right now, he says it's got more drops than his cell phone service.
Maybe he was talking about the Panthers receivers.
That part too.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. Mix it up a little bit. There was a trade today that was alluded to a little bit earlier, where the Kansas City Chiefs, who use at times 3 tight end receiver squad, did trade with the Tennessee Titans for one DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins this will be his 4th team, as he's been with Houston, Arizona, Tennessee, and now going to the defending champion Chiefs. The Chiefs are already 6-0 now and looking good after their command of the San Francisco 49ers the other day, where Patrick Mahomes, I mean, he didn't throw any touchdowns in that game. He threw 2 picks. They still won the game. Kareem Hunt is doing very well for the injured Isaiah Pacheco. Clyde Edwards-Helaire just is returning to practice, but still has the designation non-football injury. But yeah, so the Chiefs just keep finding ways to win. They're 6-0, and they're into the stretch before the trade deadline where they're trying to add a little piece to the puzzle. The last 2 years they've done that with success. Whether it was Mecole Hardman one year, whether it was Kadarius Toney the following year, where by the time they got into the playoffs, those 2 players that I mentioned ended up coming big for them when playoff time came around. So get them in the building now, get them used to the playbook, get them used to understanding where Patrick is going to place the ball and stuff like that. And even though DeAndre's best years are probably behind him, he is a reliable possession receiver that takes a lot of pressure off of the other side of the ball, normally where one Travis Kelce would be lining up, which will probably pull a lot of double teams off of Kelce, open up the field more, and get D Hop the ball potentially on some of those 3rd and 3s where it would have automatically been a Kelce play. And now D Hop may catch a lot of those 3rd and shorts and 3rd and intermediates.
Yeah, I hate to say this for any Kansas City haters out there, but them boys ain't going nowhere, man. They ain't going nowhere. They're in cruise control right now. I believe Kelce is just kind of like, I don't even think Kelce's playing hard, to be honest. And they're winning games still. I think
because I think he's had to be more of a decoy where he's pulling the attention, and then it leaves it open for other guys.
Yeah, like Gray on the other side. So I think by the time the postseason comes around, or maybe even December, depending on where they're at, you're going to find a real Kansas City, and they're going to be hell on wheels to deal with this Hopkins trade.
Yeah, and the thing about the Chiefs, think about it. The things that could be hurting them isn't, but if it were another team, it probably would.
Yeah.
And they've still managed to be 6-0. Now, most NFL players will tell you how hard it is to win a game. To be 6-0 this far into the season is not an easy task.
No.
So the fact that they're doing it, and they're the only undefeated team now. So for them to be doing that, not having a plethora of wide receivers, having to rely on different parts of their game to win. And let me tell you about the defense. Good God, Mike. That defense.
I'm telling you, man, I know the 49ers are beat up right now. I realize that.
Yeah.
But for the Chiefs to go into San Francisco and do what they did to the 49ers, they grabbed my respect, man. Because that game was not as close as what the final score indicated.
No, not at all. Brock, they turned Brock Purdy over 3 times, 3 picks. Could have been more than that. And it kind of makes me wonder more. Does that say more about the Chiefs or say less about the 49ers? Because I was looking at the 49ers as a very physical team defensively, one that I did not think Dallas had any chance of beating. But the Chiefs really made the 49ers look ordinary. And I'm a little worried about that with them having to now play the Cowboys. Now, the only thing that I'm thinking of is that the Kansas City defense, to me, is tougher than the Cowboys' run defense, and that Jordan Mason, whoever's back there in the backfield, is probably going to have a field day running on the Cowboys, where they didn't have that kind of success in Kansas City.
Yeah, I have no faith in Dallas. And not only this game, but this stretch of games that they got coming up. I just don't see it for them. I think it's going to be awfully quiet in Cowboy land, and I ain't got no problem with that.
Anthony says Chiefs got Hopkins for the low. Well, they did, but he's on. And what was it? Was it a 6th round? What kind of pick did they get? I'm trying to remember that one. It's right in front of me. I'm trying to see what it said. What pick? Oh, so the Titans get a conditional 2025 5th round pick.
Yeah. So if you were Hopkins and you're on Tennessee Titans and you're going absolutely nowhere, and your quarterback was who it is in Tennessee, I'm sure you would be willing to take and sign off on whatever deal you could in order to be traded out. Maybe he was the one that was kind of leading and facilitating that.
Yeah, and Hopkins was already on the last year of his contract, so all they had to do was pick up the rest of the contract with no hit for any future years and everything. So yeah, that's why he said took him on the low. You didn't have to give up a pricey draft pick, conditional 5th rounder, all those kind of things. I'm sure a lot of those conditions are going to come into playing time, maybe receptions, all of that kind of stuff, to depend on whether that 5th turns into something higher than that. But still, if it turns into something higher than that, that means you had to use them because you were being successful. So, if I won the Super Bowl, do I care if that 5th round turns into a 3rd rounder? Hell no. I won the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
I don't care. So, very low risk, high reward when it came to that trade. And that's the difference between the organization making savvy moves. They help the team, but keeps it out of financial harm's way. Rand, speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, your boy Jerry Jones just does not understand the adage that when you keep digging a hole, stop digging. So after Derrick Henry ran for 169 yards with the Ravens and already have been facing heavy, well-deserved scrutiny for not even reaching out to Derrick Henry in the offseason at all, while Derrick Henry spends his off seasons in Texas training with them big ass tires. Jerry says, well, he looks good, but I think if he played for us, he probably wouldn't look that good because his style of play doesn't really fit in our system.
I heard that. What style of play doesn't fit in somebody's system where this dude is raking off 80-yard carries on the regular?
So here's the funny thing. The running backs that Jerry currently has have not ran for more than a little over 400 yards total. Henry by himself has ran for over 800.
Yeah.
I don't know what system you talking about.
Exactly right.
But like my system gonna be whatever Derrick Henry's system is, and we'll figure that out later because your system ain't doing enough to make you go, yeah, I don't think we need to tweak this at all. Like, so Henry gets to play basically 3 downs with the Ravens. In this West Coast system that the Cowboys like to run or attempt to run, their backs are more 2nd, 3rd down backs because they typically like to throw on 1st down. Here's the thing, which is why Jerry needs to stop digging. Derrick Henry is a great possession receiver as well. Even if you either A, check down him on 1st, meaning throw him the ball out of the backfield. B, pre-snap him in halfback and then motion him onto the line. You still got to account for that man. whether he's behind the center or he's on the line, you better damn well know where he is. So, Jerry, you can scheme and have Derrick Henry in your offense all 3 plays, all 3 downs. You do not have to just say, well, because we run a certain type of running game, we can't then expand him onto. My God, if you were a damn DB and you saw Henry motion up to the line.
I really don't even understand what this dude is talking about. You know,
he's trying to figure out saying that I just didn't want to spend the money on Derrick Henry, so I'm gonna come up with these 5,000 reasons as to why it wouldn't have worked to begin with. Bruh, ain't nobody gonna fall for that. This man had got over 800 yards. He's ripping off 70, 80-yard runs, and you telling me, yeah, but that wouldn't work for us. Really?
I don't care if you're running a zone blocking scheme. Really? I don't care if you're running a power run. I don't care if you're running. I don't care what you're running. Derrick Henry back there is going to make your running game easier.
And your passing game.
And your passing game. You got to account for them.
Then when you run play action and you buy guys like CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks, if he was healthy again, Derrick Henry being back there would be the best thing for Brandon Cooks' career, because then now you set up the play action, you get your speedy receiver out there in space, and they can blow the top off. So I don't know what Jerry talking about, but when he said that, I'm like, bruh, you know, it's just easier for you to say, you know what, upon second thought, maybe we should have at least tried to have a conversation. Either Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Saquon Barkley, Aaron Jones, all those guys were out there in the offseason, and you did doo-doo.
Nothing.
Say that. Jerry, just say, I didn't do nothing, and maybe I should have.
You brought home Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook, who I don't even think has 50 yards rushing this year so far.
But you going to say, I don't think.
Don't even finish the sentence, man.
That's why I was just sitting there like, you know what? Now, I said, now I understand why the best business in Dallas is an electronics store, because they tear up more TVs in Dallas than any place like that. Now I understand why they tear up so many damn TVs in Dallas. Because when you hear him say stuff like that, yeah, I probably want to punch a hole in my TV too.
Facts.
You know? Anthony says Cowboy got 91 more rushing yards than Jaden Daniels this season. Anthony, that's a damn shame. A damn shame. Yeah, but yeah, so Cowboys, I get it. I know what y'all waiting on. I know y'all don't want to just say it like that, but I know what y'all waiting on. You know, rest in peace, Jerry. This gotta be. It's gotta be. Brand, the Eagles and the Giants played in MetLife Stadium on Sunday, and at first glimpse, looking at the score, you would say, yeah, man, the Eagles are back. But I will contend with the 28-3 score, Daniel Jones getting knocked out of the game with injury, and then he didn't like the fact that he got pulled out, but they pulled him out. But I don't know. This says more about the ineptitude of the New York Giants, or any indication of me having any faith in my Eagles riding the ship. Even though Saquon did have 17 carries for 176 yards, I knew when he went back to the Giants, he was going to show out on them. He had a great game, 176 yards. That's crazy for a team that did not want to pay you and wanted to pay Daniel Jones. But Jalen Hurts was only 10 of 14 for 114 yards. And 89 of those went to A.J. Brown. him and Devontae Smith could not get on the same page, and he had very, very limited success getting the ball to anybody else. AJ had 5 catches. The second most catches was Saquon with 2. Devontae had 1 for -2 yards. I don't know what the hell happened between him and Devontae Smith, but Jalen did not have a good game throwing the ball. It really came down to the defense just keeping the Giants from getting into the end zone. But I don't really just because they won, and a lot of times winning does all right problems and stuff like that. I think I still got a lot more questions about the Eagles than I do about the Giants.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of both. I mean, the Giants are just trash. Let's face it, they're just garbage. A lot of people were looking at Daniel Jones turning it around a little bit a few weeks ago. I think he's going right back to the Daniel Jones of old, and I don't see him breaking out of that for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of problems with Malik Neighbors being mixed up in the offense now with Darius Slayton. And that's kind of started to just kind of simmer down now, like to your point.
Yeah. The Eagles, they still have some work to do. You're right, man. I mean, I'm not impressed by what I saw. I know they put up 28, and I know they dominated, but that passing game still has some. I don't understand what's going on, but that passing game has some work to do. I don't understand the regression of Jalen Hurts at all. I think I thought he was on an ascension to go back to another NFC Championship game. I don't see that so far with his play this year at all. Maybe he can find the groove again with these 2 dynamic wide receivers, but I just do not know what the answer is. I would like to think that they could hold serve with Washington for the East, but I don't know, man.
I mean, if you look at it right now, and this is all contingent on Jaden Daniels missing any playing time, but right now, if I compare them apples to apples, I have more faith in the Commanders than I do in my Eagles.
Yeah, and that's saying something.
Now, y'all, I try to be the fairest dude out there. I make no apologies that I grew up being an Eagles fan, but I can be as clear-minded as I can to say that if they were playing this Sunday and I knew Jaden Daniels was healthy, I'd go with the Commanders.
Yeah.
Wouldn't hesitate. So yeah, hopefully that doesn't make me a delusional Eagles fan. So, anyway, Robbie says, "What's up?" I know it's late. Just checking in to see what's up, guys.
What's up, Jenkins?
Robbie, how you doing, sir? So
Thanks for joining us, man.
All I have for the Eagles and the Giants ran. Let me see if there was any other games that I missed that were of note. No, other than Mr. Masagi is going to be out for the remainder of the season with an Achilles. And they're going to start Jameis Winston to see if he can eat some W's. Be interesting in that. I bet you that the Browns actually, even futile as it's going to be, will play harder for Jameis Winston than they do for Deshaun Watson.
Absolutely, yeah, I wouldn't. They most definitely, and
it'll show. I'm sorry, I mean cut you off. It'll show that the only reason that they felt compelled to play him is because of how much they're paying him. But I believe they will see snippets of the Browns playing better under Jameis, the same way they played better under Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't scored over 20 points all season, and I think you're going to see that change now with Jameis under center. Yeah. The fans were visibly frustrated by what was going on. They're paying their hard-earned money, and they're going out there and witnessing a quarterback that in their minds don't care.
Yeah.
And so I know it was a little bit divided, a little bit controversial when Watson went down and the Cleveland fans started cheering. You never want to cheer for an injury.
That's a damn.
Oh yeah.
But you know what though?
But you know what? Yeah.
Organization put them in that situation.
That's what I'm saying. That's what makes it so controversial.
Yeah.
He kind of put the fans in that situation. for them to behave like that. So you never want to cheer for somebody that goes down to injury, but at the same time, this dude was such a dirtbag. I mean, are you really going to like stand and clap when he's being carted off? I don't know, man.
Anthony says, I don't like Watson, but the Browns fans cheering for Watson's injury was cold. It is. Now, listen. If he had some apparent neck injury, he was motionless on the field, I don't think you would have saw that. But once I think they realized that he wasn't probably hurt beyond repair, beyond this season, it was easier because they probably felt like, okay, the only way that we were going to not have to watch this was for him to get hurt. And the only reason, Anthony, that I can somewhat understand this, because for the longest I felt the same way about Bryce Young. I said, you know what? The only way we're gonna ever see Andy Dalton is when he finally get hit and he don't get back up on his own. That's the only way they were gonna put Andy Dalton in. And to their credit, they didn't wait for that, but they were on that trajectory where I ain't gonna lie, I might have had to clap. Because I would have been like, finally, the nightmare is over. And I think they were clapping more for the nightmare being over than for somebody really getting hurt.
Right.
They just kind of coincided. Like there was no gap in between. It was almost like, you know how sometimes when people say something and they go, too soon? Maybe the clapping was a little too soon. Maybe they should have waited till the next day to go. You know, in retrospect, maybe this is a blessing in disguise because now it gives the team the ability to see how they would fare under somebody else behind center. And that may have been something that we would not have seen if not for this injury. But we still wish Deshaun Watson a speedy recovery, just not too speedy, like maybe February.
Yeah, just put him on the massage table. He'll be all right.
Robbie, you know what? I respect you a lot, but put the weed down. He said Bryce is going to lead us to the Super Bowl. Now,
gonna lead us to the toilet bowl.
A couple things, Robbie, that I think you meant to put in there. Sometimes when you type, sometimes some of the words that you meant to put in there didn't come. I think you were trying to say in Madden. How I think he gonna throw 2 for 2 for -4 yards in Madden as well.
Yeah,
he that bad. He that bad. Anthony says, didn't we talk about this last week? Only way Watson leaves is if he gets injured. Yes.
Forgot about that. Wow.
Because we saw that they were more conscious of how much he was getting paid than whether he was the best option on the field. And at some point, you got to suck up your pride and say, hey, we made a bad mistake. We did a Trey Lance. We got ahead of our skis, and we need to right this ship because we owe it to our fans to put the best product out there. And what the Browns communicated to the fans is no, we paid this man this money, so come hook or crook, he going to be out there. And it took hook and a crook to get him off that field. Robbie says, I'm at work. Yeah, Madden. and Anthony says, Bryce Young going to lead you to a #1 pick.
You got that right. You got that right.
Hey, you're right, Anthony. So maybe at this point, who are we fooling? Put his ass back in there.
I'm all for it. All for it. I'm here for it, man.
Yeah. Let him get all jacked up because you know what? Then if we do get the first round, a #1 pick again and get a quarterback, he's done because if he leads us to a #1 pick, that means his film is going to be even worse than it is right now. And in their right mind is going to say, you know, I think Carolina really missed some opportunities with you. So we'll bring you into our organization. And, you know, hey, listen, y'all, I got 2 words for y'all if y'all believe in that, and that's Carson Wentz. You know, every time people kept wanting to bring him in and he's a former #1 pick. Surely we can sit there and do something with him. Everybody that thought that left shaking their head like, damn, what happened, bro?
Yeah.
You lost it. The last game I'll go into before I go into our last games, man, that Packers-Texans game was something else. Back and forth. CJ Stroud didn't have his best passing game in the world, but he didn't have to because Joe Mixon had 25 carries for 115 yards, kept the game close back and forth with their running game versus the air attack that Jordan Love put up against them. So it was a very interesting game to see between these two young guns coming up, but eventually the Packers pulled it out 24-22. But both teams now are 5-2 in their respective conferences.
Yep. Only difference with that is the Packers are going to have to continue to fight over Minnesota and Chicago and Detroit. But I think the path is pretty clear for Houston.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, Jacksonville isn't going anywhere fast. Indianapolis and Tennessee look like dumpster fires. So by default, it looks like Houston is going to run away with that division if they continue on their current trajectory. Joe Mixon looks like he done found the fountain of youth down there, and he just doing what he did all those years in Cincinnati as well. All right, sir, we got to get up out of here. But any games that you're looking forward to this coming week? We do have the Vikings and the Rams tomorrow, 8:15 Amazon Prime. But we also got a full slate of games coming up this week.
Well, you know me. I'm all about my Steelers, man. It's going to be Monday night affair. It's a home game Monday night. It's color rush uniforms for my Steelers. I don't see any way in hell they lose this game. I know I'm jinxing myself when I say that, but I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. Steelers better not lose this game, daggone it. So I got them going on to 6-2, man.
Nice. Man, I got the Cowboys 49ers. It's Sunday night football. It's Carrie Underwood in them boots. I love it. And I'm hoping for a bloodbath. It's going to be at Levi Stadium. And I don't know if the bye week did anything to help the Cowboys. I heard they almost lost in their bye week. So I don't know if having those extra days afforded them anything at all. The Panthers play the Broncos. Not that it's a big thing, other than the fact that back-to-back 4 o'clock games is something I haven't seen with them before, but understandable since they're going to be in Denver. Robbie says, hell, the Carolina Panthers should go after Flacco. Hey, I don't see why that would be a problem. He seems to do well when well, I think right now he's in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not available because Anthony Richardson can't stay healthy. So he's a great insurance policy for them. You got the Chiefs at the Raiders. That should be a pretty good game, but I think Kansas City's defense is going to be very opportunistic, whether it's Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell back there. And they don't really have any threats at wide receiver. Bye week 28, Dallas 20, Robbie. You got the Bills at the Seahawks. The Bills have to go all the way over to Seattle for that game. That's going to be interesting. The Bears play the Commanders. So if Jaden Daniels does play, it'll be interesting to see the number 1 and the number 2 go head to head. Yeah, Falcons at the Bucks. That's going to be an interesting game because I think they're both tied now for first place in NFC South. Saints at the Chargers. Chargers have not looked that impressive. Justin Herbert just doesn't seem right. So that'll be an interesting game. It will be in California. Titans play the Lions. Sorry, Titans. Colts play the Texans in Houston. Sorry, Colts. Ravens go to Cleveland to play the Doo-Doos. Damn. Eagles and the Bengals. This one will be interesting. It'll be in Cincinnati, Rand. But I don't know if we know who Joe Burrow is or Jalen Hurts. That's going to be an interesting game. I think whoever has the ball last wins the game, period.
Yeah. That will be a very interesting game, man. What I'm sitting here thinking about it.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Tua is set to make his return back this week as the Cardinals play the Dolphins in Miami. So this will be an interesting game to see if Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill will rebound now that Tua is their quarterback and not Tyler Huntley or the other young man that was really, really feeding Jonnu Smith and the running backs a whole lot more than Tua normally does. And then you got the Packers going to the Jacksonville to face the Jaguars. I just think Green Bay's offense is going to be too powerful for the Jags. They're going to blow them out pretty easily.
Yeah.
I don't see any games in London this week, so it looks like nobody has to get up extra early to watch any Sunday football.
Not this week, but I understand our Panthers will be over there taking on the Giants, I believe.
Yeah.
That'll be the next London game.
Yes, sir.
NBA opening night was last night. I'm sitting here watching my Hornets debut tonight. So y'all get out there and check some of this NBA action.
And they're having to do it on the road because there's a guy that took over the Spectrum Center last night and tonight in Charlotte, and he goes by the name of Usher. So if you are in Charlotte, stay the hell away from downtown because there's a lot of wet women down there. And if you got some good waves in your head, they may be looking for you. Anyway.
There's going to be a lot of women coming home from that concert missing panties.
We ain't good. But yeah. So anyway, we got to sit down here. Anthony says Tua was practicing today. I don't like these 2 Monday night games. Yeah. It seems like they're trying to double dip and get it's all money. Anthony. It's got to be money.
Absolutely.
But I agree with you. Just give us all that one game to watch, and I'm more than okay with that. Well, guys, that's going to do it for us for this week. We will see y'all back here again next week to talk about those games and everything. So stay tuned. Thank y'all for joining us. We will see y'all again next week. Y'all take care.